Hey bosses, it's Nina, and today we're talking all about Kartra Pages. So when I say Kartra Pages, these are just like landing pages, sales pages, long landing pages, video sales pages, all of those pages that you usually build in the competitors. Like there's ClickFunnels and Instapage and just a bunch of them out there. I've worked with all of them and I've used all of them before, but I absolutely love Kartra. So today we're going to jump into how to use Kartra to build landing pages. So if you're new here, I do want to know that you're new. Go ahead and put in the comments. Just let me know about your business and kind of what brought you here to this. Are you looking at Kartra? Are you new to Kartra, or did you just stumble upon it because YouTube gods said you need to watch it? If you've watched my videos before and you're part of that boss squad, go ahead and put hashtag boss down in the comments and let me know what you're working on today. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit as we jump in. Kartra is an all-in-one marketing tool. I will create a separate video talking about what it is and everything that it can do. If you want to try Kartra, you can try it for $1. I'll leave the link below. Please use my affiliate links because I get a small percentage even of that little dollar. But you can go to sociallynina.com/Kartra and it will lead you here. You can sign up for $1 and you can actually walk through this step-by-step tutorial with me as I'm going through. I'll try to go pretty slow, but I'll also create a blog to help you so you can see the steps. All right. So once you log in, you're on the dashboards. You're just going to go over to My Pages. And I want to go over the menu items a little bit. So pages, of course, you can have your pages here and you can actually separate them by categories. My Video Creators Camp, this is my landing page. By the way, Video Creators Camp is August 24th and 25th. You can head over to videocreatorscamp.com to check that out. But when you're looking at, and I selected it, but go ahead and close it. When you're looking at your pages, you can preview that. I have my Video Creators Camp. Then I have my Video Creators Camp thank you page, so I can see that. And then, and it looks like, there we go. That's a little bit better. You could actually see them. I had them selected for some reason. So you can actually see the actual item there. And then any pages related to this. So it gives you a chance to group your landing pages or your pages in general. You can do a search, so I can look for video. Okay. And while this is doing it, keep in mind that even though I'm talking about pages and landing pages, you can actually build a full site with Kartra. If that's what you need to do, especially if you haven't gotten your site up yet, but you want to get to selling, it's a great way to kind of build a site. Okay, so that's our pages area. We'll jump into the actual pages in just a second. Split test, I don't really use split test, but you can create, when someone goes to a link, it tries each of the pages to see which ones convert better or sell better, or you get the most engagement on. What I really like is the analytics. So the conversions, I'm just gonna go to conversions. And I think this has like Kartra is one of the best tools for actually looking at conversions and things like that, or just analytics. I'm just gonna go to one of my, this is a monthly checklist. So you can see how many visitors you've had to the page. This is actually an old page. I'm surprised that in the last 30 days I've gotten people actually coming to this page, but it shows how many visitors, how many people signed up. That's what the goals are, right? And then you'll see it. I don't want to hover over it because it actually gives you the information. Your ratio, so you can see how many people land on the page versus actually signing up. If you look up here, if I were to actually, this is a freebie, but if it's something that is a purchase, you can actually see what revenue you have from this landing page, right? And you could change the time period up here at the top. In addition, down here, you can say, what are your goals or your conversions, right? What's your revenue? And then comparing all of them. So great way to see, how many people are landing on your pages, how many people are actually signing up, and it gives you the ability to forecast kind of what you need to do. Now engagement, I'm going to head over to engagement, another one of my favorite pages. This is an older, let's see if it has it. This is an older campaign. So I'm going to look at something I just started. And actually, I'm getting ready to start really promoting it. Is my Video Creators Camp and Video Creators Camp. Okay, so let's do all time. Okay, and you'll see how many visitors I had. Okay, how many of what percentage of visitors last over 10 seconds, which is great because they actually stay. So I have 78%. And then you can go through and see how much average time someone spends on the page. So there's a lot of people that are actually spending 21 minutes, 16 minutes, which means they're really looking into what's going on here, right? You can actually go through and see all of the stats here. But let me go ahead and just scroll through this and let you know. So these are the visitors. Talks about, it kind of lets you know where people fall off, okay? So what you can do is say 24% kind of falls off here. Some people actually scroll to the bottom, or if you have a purchase button at the top, you want to keep that in mind. But basically what it's just telling me is how long people are staying on the page. And of course, at the end, how many people read to the end or sign up. So you can actually narrow this down by all the visitors or just the visitors that are on there longer than 10 seconds. But again, it's a great tool to go back and look at your copy to see, hey, maybe people don't like this part, or maybe people are joining at a certain, pace or a certain area. You can really analyze your pages to see how well you're doing. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to head back to pages. So we know, let's start by creating a new page. So I'm going to create a new page down here at the bottom and click on page. Now you can start with a blank template, which I do a lot. These are templates that I've saved, I can reuse. And then they have the different categories. Squeeze pages, usually used for grabbing email addresses, video sales pages, thank you pages, long sales pages, even your coming soon for your website. You can point here with the timer, product launches, which gives you multiple videos, checkout pages, webinar registrations, product reviews. I'm just going to scroll up so you can see it. 404 pages, those are pages where if someone ends up on your website on the wrong page, you can have something kind of cool here, something funny. Upsell pages, what's great about Kartra is they give you the chance to upsell different products. Live events, there's a lot of them here. I want to point out a couple of them. Down here you have legal pages, so if you're adding your privacy policy and different things to your site, it does give you templates. You're going to want to look through that. But you also, remember I said you can build a website. So you can actually come in here. I'm just going to preview one. And you can build a blog. Now it is a little bit, a lot bit more work than WordPress because you're kind of manually building it. But you are just kind of clicking and editing, but it's not necessarily automated like, you add your blog text and it published on WordPress. What happens is you're going to have to build out this menu for each page you create. And again, since you can save templates, you can kind of reuse them. I have some tips and tricks on how to do that. If you have any questions about that, let me know below. But really what this is for is if you don't have a site, you can create a temporary site. Okay? Homepage and all of that. All right, so I'm going to pick the page that I want. In this instance, I'm going to do, let's just do a squeeze page. And I'll show you the different elements. So I'll do preview just to make sure it's what I want. And we'll launch this. So I'll close this and we'll select this. Now we'll go through and create a squeeze page, but remember, you can add to it. Just because it says squeeze page as a template doesn't mean that that's what you have to make it. It can be a long sales page. So I'm going to call this test page for training, right? And what you're going to want to do is either select a category or you can always create a new category. Okay. So I have the category. Here's the trick. It doesn't automatically select it, so you are going to want to go back and select your test category. Where do I have it? And there you go. I would highly recommend putting your pages into categories when you start instead of trying to do it on the back end, because it takes a little bit of time and a little bit more effort. All right, before we jump into actually editing, let's look at what we have here. You can go through and look at a preview on your desktop and how it would look on your desktop. On the tablet, it's a little bit different. Your mobile device, right? And you can actually add, go ahead and do this here. Depending on your view, you might want to look at column mode versus component mode. I always leave this exactly how it is, but I'm going to go ahead and show the columns just so you can see them. Kind of shows kind of the outline of where everything is. But again, it just depends on how you work best. I'm going to turn this off. Okay. Now, the other thing you're going to have to realize, and I'm going to say this often, hopefully you'll remember, is saving and saving it as a template. Both of these save it, but it does not publish it. So I can sit here and create and create and create. It's not going to show any changes. The page isn't published. It's just me kind of editing the page until I'm ready to publish. That also means when you come back to do changes, you are going to want to save them, and then when you're ready to publish the site, you'll go ahead and publish it. I'll say that again, but I want to say it multiple times because there's been tons of times I couldn't figure out why my changes weren't lasting. All right, on your left hand side, what you'll see is the settings. Check this out because this is where you're going to add your SEO stuff, like the title of the page, any meta descriptions, keywords. I don't always fill this in, but the two things that I do want to make sure that I have in here is your page title and then your image. Your image is what shows when you share the page on social media. So if someone's sharing your landing page, you don't want it to say Kartra. So what I'm going to do is click on upload. Now I have images that are already uploaded here, but here's the trick that it took me a while to actually learn. In your top right hand corner, if this is going to be a freebie, let's just say we have a candy shop, right? I'm going to do a search for candy. I just type in candy and hit enter, and it has graphics in here. There's also icons if you switch it over, but for now, I'm just going to make this kind of this image. Usually you would do a thumbnail in something like Canva or PicMonkey. All right. I would never hide it from search engines, but maybe for some reason you do want to hide it. Maybe after you're done with your promotion or for whatever reason. Okay, so one other thing is if you are building out like a blog or a website, you are going to want to pay more attention to this area. I'll go back. Tracking codes. This area is for embedded codes like Facebook trackers or Facebook pixels, Google ads, any kind of code that says add to the header of a page or add tracking code to the footer. There's different areas. Just notice that Facebook is down here. You have their footer, your body, and your head. So you can actually put things exactly where it needs to go. Another trick is I save a blank template with all my tracking codes, but Kartra is upgrading it where you only have to put it once on the site and then it will apply to all the pages. I'll come back and do a video on that once they release that. Okay, these are also tags. You can tag visitors who visit your page. For instance, if I have my video creators account and I want to know anybody who visits that page, I can have it them automatically tagged as soon as they land on this page. As long as they're in my system, it will pick up on who they are and they will receive a tag. It's magic. It happens in the background. The next thing here is page redirect. So I've used this when I have a landing page or a product or a service or an event, and after the event is closed, I can say redirect and it will redirect to maybe another program, or I have a page that says sorry you missed out, or whatever you like. You can actually redirect the page. This is also used for countdowns. You can actually set up countdowns in the pages and say after this specific time, redirect the page because people can't have it. So maybe it's a sale or something like that. That's 24 hours. Okay, so if I were to redirect, I would just select the page from here, and I think I have, like I said I have a page and I have like a sorry you missed it or something like that. And I would put the page there. So I'm going to turn this off. Make sure I don't redirect it. All right, so that's the settings for your page. Your styles. This is where you decide kind of how your page width. So if you have specific dimensions that you need to put in there, you could put fixed dimensions. I always leave it as full. The background color of the page. So you can put in your hex numbers, and once you push apply, you should see that change. And I don't know where this is going to be. I think we have some, it's going to be the page background, but I think the content background is probably, okay, you know what it is? Since this page is full, you can't see it, so I'm going to change it to fixed. And so you can see on the sides that it has the pink. Again, I don't usually change this. White is fine for the background, but if you have to do something fancy, you can do that. Now, sections, you have sections and you have components. So let me figure out how to explain this. So a section can be a blank section or a pre-built section. So I'm going to go to sections, and an empty section, I'm just going to drop here. Okay. Now I can actually apply something just to this area or this section. It doesn't have any columns where you can add items. So this would be 2 columns, right? We'll come back to that, but I do want to show you that I can change this section. Each section has a number. If I click on this, it will save this section for me. I can actually edit the source code of this section, move it up and down, clone it, or just edit it. In this case, I'm going to edit it. Everything comes up on your left-hand side. And if I want to change, say, the padding between this section and the top section or the next one, you can do that. I'm going to leave it as is because it will be hard to see right now. But let's start with the background. You can do a background video. And I have some videos here. I'm just going to pick a random video. Okay, so the video's in the background and it's actually moving. It's actually playing. So a lot of times you'll see this when you come to websites and they're at the top, and you know, in the background it's kind of playing with some text on top. So I can still put columns and videos, or excuse me, other videos or text on this, but I don't use this too much as the background. You may use an image. So I'm going to try to find, and actually let's use one of their images. There we go. Again, you always want to apply. So this is the image here. Now I can play around with this. So I can make the, so let's do this. Let's make this about 40%. Let's do 70% actually. So you can see it's kind of faded, right? So you can actually do that. If you want to add a blur, you can add a blur. This comes in handy when you're adding text on top and you don't want to take away from the text or the items that are going on the top, but you still want that background behind it. Okay, so again, you can do that, and then you can add, I'm going to go back to the style, and if you want, you can add spacing or padding to the top or bottom. I'm just going to add 200. Okay. So this does elongate the image. I'm just going to do this on both places so you can see. And then I'll go back to the background. Okay. So again, I have my area here. It's blurred. I can add this parallax, and I always forget how to say it. But once we add some items, what happens is the image stays in place, but the page kind of scrolls by. Okay. You can delay when this section is shown. So maybe you don't want people to see it instantly. And you could also hide it on certain items. This comes in handy when you are, you have maybe an image or a video that doesn't show well on a mobile device or a tablet. You're basically telling the system where you want it to show, or you can actually have it show for specific groups of people. So if someone is part of your list or they've already been tagged, remember, maybe they visited the site already. And actually, I just gave myself an idea, but they visited the site already and they've been tagged as a visitor. So you add a video there like, hey, what are you waiting for? It's time for you to act now. This is your second time looking at this page, just purchase, right? You can do all of that by specifying when this section displays. Okay, that's our section. I'm going to come back to the other sections because I want to explain how this works in conjunction with columns. So columns, I'll click here. If I do 100%, it will be all the entire item. I'm going to do something like this so you can see kind of what happens with adding items. So remember, now we're under components. Components will be like your text, your images, your buttons. So I'm just going to add something there. So I might take the text, come on, if it works with me. There you go. Notice when I drop it, it has a green light that kind of shows me where it's going to be dropped. So that tells you exactly where you're going to drop it. It looks like I just did something. I added an extra section or something. Okay, I created another one. It was acting a little funky, where I placed everything. But here you have your text and here you have your image. We'll come back to this. I do want to show you the styles. So remember we had the background where it's kind of fuzzy. So we can change this where it's bolder or it has color behind it or other items. But that's where your styles kind of come in and you're editing your sections, right? I'm sorry, not your styles, but your sections and editing those. I do want to show you, we built one from scratch. But at the same time, there are different pre-made sections. So for instance, if you're building out a website, there's website headers, right? So these are all block templates. If I go to hero section and I've saved my own, right? There's certain items where you can kind of drag over and just put what you need. So if you look at the top of the page, like these items, you can kind of start from scratch and create your own. Right now, I'm just kind of playing around with the sections so you can see how they are. But I can drag over. Let's see if there's one that is fun. Not really that I'm looking. Okay, so we can drag over this one. And notice this creates a section up here. It has the background image. It has the text, all of these. And what you can do is just go to the background. Remember, we can edit the sections, right? And you can change the background image to something that suits your needs better. So maybe this one is a better image. But what's great is they've already designed these for you. So when you're first starting out, even though we kind of built our sections here, I would suggest that you just use some of the sections here, the section templates, and you can pull over content, you can pull over features, call to action, opt-in forms, checkout forms, all of this, download boxes so you can have things downloaded directly from the site. A lot of times I'll put this on a thank you page, or if you're doing a freebie, you're basically just dragging it over, and then that button will tell you how you could actually you upload your file to be downloaded. Portfolios, teams. So, on your websites, a lot of times you see the team that is working with them. Footers and certificates. So again, you have these kind of built out for you, and all you do is kind of point and click. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these two sections so you can see how to edit. I just wanted to actually take you through those, okay? So here we have our different sections here. I can just click and notice there's a couple items. The first one, and you always have to look at where you're clicked, because if I'm clicked here, it gives me the T for edit text. But if I was clicked outside of it, it's going to be for this section. So I'm going to make sure I'm here, and I can just change the text. Right? And here's your little bar that you're going to use to change everything, whether it's the line height, the font size, the font name, bullets, all of that. Now you can do rich text to add like shadows and things like that. I'm just going to pull it from the bottom. I don't use this. It looks kind of weird. It looks kind of 80s for me, but you can use whatever you like. And then you can change certain words. So I can change just the color of this or the background color here, right? So you're in total control. I can go up and do undo, but keep in mind, notice what happened. It undid the entire thing. So it wasn't like just the last thing I did, right? Okay, so you would do that with each of your sections. The other thing that you can do, again, make sure, so here it would apply to this entire area. You can do your padding. You could change the background color of certain areas. I'm just going to pick something so you can see here. Oh, and this is the border color. I'm sorry, not the background color. The background color would be this one. Okay. If you do create a border and it doesn't show up, keep in mind that you do have to add some kind of weight to it and change the none to the type of border. Okay, I'm going to turn off this so you can see the border, and I'm going to change this to a darker color. And now you see the border. Okay, so it all depends on where you're clicked. I would go back in here. You can edit text. Again, if I click on edit style, it applies to this area. Okay, so you can change maybe the text color here. I do want to bring out when you're editing text, again, you can add background images. You don't want to overdo it, but the effects is what I really want to show you. So sometimes when I have buttons or specific text, I add like a fade or a jump or just different things like that to make sure people see it. So maybe they're scrolling down a long page, but you want to point out certain items, like click here or buy now or last chance. You can make it jump or so as we're going through, you're basically going to point and click. I'm not going to go through all of these, just a couple of key components. So I'm going to click on this video. Notice you can do Kartra videos. You do have a limit on your videos. It's pretty high, but I know I do a lot of videos, so it's reaching its limit. You can do YouTube videos, right? It says autoplay, but that's not always working for me because now on Chrome, in order to autoplay, it has to be muted to start. So be careful with that. You just copy and paste the video URL, embed code from Wistia, and then also from Vimeo, which I have started using. I embed the code and put autoplay there. But let me see if I can find a video really quick. Okay, this is Childish Gambino. He's doing a song cover. Make sure you get this one, the URL that says watch. So it's at the top. And then I'm just going to go back to Kartra, paste it, add autoplay, and apply. Okay, this is a good time to remind you to save your progress. All right, still not published, just saving it. The next thing you're going to want to do is go through the rest of the pages. You can change the icons and things like that. Remember that you, in the images, you can select different icons. So I just edited. I want to take it back just one step. There you go. There's different icons and you can search through here. So I'm just going to search for plug. They have YouTube, Facebook, all kinds of things. And then you can change the size. You can make it tiny. Right? Let's change this one. You can decide whether it is a circle or not. Okay? And then you could change the color on some of them. Some of them you can't really change the color. Most of them you can. Even though it has RGB down here, I can still put in my my hex number and it will convert it to for me. Okay? And again, you can add your links to items and your effects. So I do want to explain links, but I'm not going to explain it here. I'll do it. And actually, this might be a good place. You can link to a ton of different places, right? So link to another Kartra page, link to a specific section on this page. Remember, on your right-hand side, you have your sections. A pop-up form, so that can be a form that they fill out to add their email address. This is the one I really want you to see. You can have them download a file, and you can actually upload your files directly right here. And it allows people to download them when they click on the button. Great for freebies and lead magnets and things like that. And there's a few others: video players, custom URL boxes, and things like that. So I'm going to click on none. But just know that you have a lot of different options for your icons and your buttons. You can actually, kind of customize them the way you want. All right, the last thing on this page I want to show you is your forms. So this is a form here that someone would fill out. I'm going to click on edit. Now, I have opt-in forms that are here that I've actually created, right? If you don't, it will add, and you actually drag over a form, it will allow you to add this placeholder. So in other words, if you're building your page from scratch and you want a form, you can go to, and why is it not, there it is. There's opt-in fields, and there's actually, so under opt-in fields, you can drag over the one that fits your needs the best. And what it will do originally is just add a placeholder. You can then go back to forms, create your form, and then have it in here. We won't be going over that in this page. I want to keep it down to just talking about pages. Okay? So what you're going to want to do is go through and add all of your components to your page, whether you're adding a footer. Keep in mind, you do want to add like your privacy policy in terms of use. So you may want to go in here and just edit the link. I keep mine on my website, so you can just add a link to your website. So I'll do link and go to custom URL. And then I can apply. Notice you can open it in a new tab so it keeps people on your page. Let's go through a couple of other items here. So again, you have your footer bar. The footer bar actually, when you're scrolling, I'm just gonna jump this over here. This is something, it's not an actual footer, it's a footer bar. So what this means is when I'm scrolling, notice it says click me now. It's hard to see because this thing is covering it, but you can edit and have this basically when someone's scrolling, it's always displaying. This is a great way for people to kind of sign up for things or to download items, but that's what your footer bar is. I just don't want you to get confused with your actual footer. So I am going to delete this. Your help desk. So a help desk is something you could set up separately. It comes in your Kartra package. It's not something you pay extra for. I can just pick whichever help desk I've created because you can create multiple help desks and you could have a button that pops up. What's great is with the help desk, you can actually have your staff or your team be quote unquote online, and it will show like this pop up and let them know that someone's online. And you can also customize your pop-up box that says, and you could have it kind of wait, but I'm going to say, let's say delay a few seconds, 10 seconds. Okay. And then I'm going to click on apply. All right. Again, this is great if people have questions about your program or whatever it is. This is all, we have Candy, we have Childish Gambino, but your page, of course, would be more cohesive. Just make sure you go through and edit everything. One of the more recent things that they've added, which I'm really excited about, and actually it looks like there's something else there they just added, is code. So you can add code, embed code, or anything that you need on your page. And actually, I'm not doing this right. I need to open the code and then drag it. These two are exactly the same. Maybe in the future they're planning on doing something else. But if you have anything that has embed code, you can use this, and you're simply going to edit the style. And here's the trick to it. You have to keep it within these two brackets. So you're going to put your code in between here. Okay, as long as you keep these, they're fine. It lets Kartra know that it's your personal code and it doesn't mess up their code on the page. I've been using that to embed items, pop-ups, just different code that I need. But it's just a great way to add your custom items. All right, we're done with our page, kind of, but we're done with our page. I'm just gonna go ahead and push publish. Now, this is where you get the page code. You can actually embed it on your website. I do have a Kartra page on my website, or have a link. Now, if you have set up a custom URL for Kartra, which is a totally different process, you can actually customize this link so it doesn't say sociallynina.kartra. I have my custom link, which is Learned It site, and I can call this my test page. So now I can say go to learnedit.site/my test page. You can do that with this as well and kind of customize this part. But again, if you have your own URL, it's a lot shorter and you can lead people there, and that becomes your URL. When it comes to the code, you would get the code and basically copy and paste. You can also download the file if you need to send it off to someone or do something else. But let me just answer something that may come up. After they fill out this form, they go to whatever page you send them to, a thank you page. So when you set up your form, that's when you determine what happens next. So if they get added to a list, if they get a thank you page, if they get a welcome message, you start here with your forms. Again, that's a different video. But let's go ahead and preview our page so you can see what this process looks like when someone comes to the page to fill out this form. All right, here's our video. It's starting automatically, right? They would submit this once it is an actual form. Our help desk, after 10 seconds, it popped up. And we have our icons and all of our items that we can click down here. Now, this did open a new page, so I can always go back here and change things. This is my second reminder for you. Remember, if you change something, you can save it, but in order for it to show up on the page, you do have to publish it live. This comes in handy when you want to make a bunch of changes and you don't want to publish it till later. But if you don't remember this, then your site is not going to reflect, or your page is not going to reflect your changes. So always do a preview before you kind of exit out of the page. All right, here's our page. And what I would do next is create a thank you page and make sure it is in the same category. Now, we've went over how to create pages, the templates, how to move around with the sections and the components, analytics, all of that. So my question to you is, what did you think? What do you think about Kartra? Do you think this is easy enough for you to build a page? Is it something that you want me to go in depth with? This is a pretty long video, so I didn't want to go into every detail, but if you have questions, let me know. If you want me to do a video on how to create forms, how to set up memberships, products, let me know in the comments below exactly what you want. If you're interested in working with me, just hit me up at sociallynina.com/book me. For now, like and subscribe. Ciao.